Change begins from within. As easy as it is to look outside of ourselves and want the world to change, the truth is, it never will if we remain the same. This podcast was created for changemakers like you who want more love and connection in your community. Today, you are going to hear stories that will inspire you and also challenge you to be the change. We are going to go deep, my friend. So take a deep breath and settle in. My name is Emilia Tamburini. Welcome to the Circle of Change. Hello, friend. I am so glad you're here. Today, I wanted to share with you a brief story about taking action. I am obsessed with taking action these days. I feel fear around it in all parts of my body, which for me is a sign that there is something here to step through. And based on experience, I know that getting to the other side is going to be so rewarding. And I also know it's not going to be easy. This is really about taking action when it's not comfortable. I think this is relevant for you because we are currently living in this world where everything we know is shifting, from gender identity to climate change to oppressive structures that have been in place for hundreds of years, to power and how that is conceived, our economic models, justice and legal systems, roles of men and women, Indigenous people, people of color. Everything is shifting. This is the natural evolution of our world right now. And boy, is it uncomfortable. Can you feel it? Change is not easy. And what is especially challenging is being a leader through the change. Whether that is in your family, your community, or your workplace, you are out there constantly making moves in uncharted territory where you don't know the outcomes. There are no best practices, and it can feel really scary to jump forward, especially when there are a lot of people in fear, feeling that anxiety about all the changes and the uncertainty that goes along with that. I know that I'm noticing that there is an emotional charge out there that is particularly high right now. And I don't think it's just the heat wave that we're experiencing out here in the West. As a quick example, today is Canada Day. As a country, we are in deep conversation about what this means, given the increased awareness of our colonial history and the devastation that that has caused to all of us and our planet, and especially the keepers of this land. So, as you can imagine, it's causing all sorts of emotion, people defending Canada's beauty and freedom, people throwing Canada under the bus. So, how do you as a leader step into these sorts of conversations and environments? It can be really intimidating to walk in, right? And with the heightened emotion, it just makes it feel even riskier to do the courageous thing that you want to do. And as change makers, we know that we have to keep moving forward if we're going to create spaces and be open to receiving the solutions that this world is so ready for and uncover that harmony and the unity that is waiting for us. And so that's why I wanted to bring this to you today. I'm really hoping that this is supportive for you. Before we dive in, I'd love to ask you or invite you to think of a situation in your life right now. Maybe it's a conversation, a habit that you want to start or end, a new initiative where you're feeling stuck. You know you want to do it, and you know it's going to provide you more joy, more satisfaction, and is going to have a great impact, but you're paralyzed. So think of that situation in your life right now. Where are you lacking momentum? And of course, identify this situation with lots of compassion. It's human nature. It's okay. To start this conversation, I'd love to walk you through a recent experience I had, just with the intention of grounding you back into the reasons why taking small, bold steps forward is essential, and how it will not only serve you in the end, but it will serve your mission and it will serve the greater world. All right. So let's settle into this space. If you're in a safe space, feel free to close your eyes and regardless, just take a deep breath. And let these words soak in. Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. Your values become your destiny. Gandhi, one of my favorite humans. So last week it was my birthday, and I plan to spend it in nature, which is what I love to do. Just take that time to connect to my soul, reflect on the year that has just passed, and really celebrate all that I have become, all that I have accomplished, all that I have learned through the very many mistakes that I've made, and just to be grateful for one more year on this amazing planet. So I had planned 2 nights at this rustic lodge on the West Coast, and that was great. And I had also scheduled a number of days away from my business in advance of that to go camping. I personally love the combination of rugged, simple, being in the elements, taking care of basic needs with luxurious comfort and all things taken care of. That is me embracing two sides of me that I thought were in conflict with each other for so much of my life. But I've decided that they're actually this beautiful marriage. It is both and, my friend. So it was the night before I was supposed to be going camping, but I had made no plans. I had no idea where I was going to go. And I think there were many reasons why this was, COVID being one of those reasons where I have just totally forgotten how to plan things in the future. So I picked up the phone and called for help. I called a friend of mine who I have done tons of outdoor adventures with because I knew that she knew the area and would have some ideas for me in terms of where to go. And the whole time I was thinking that I would just be car camping, especially given the time of day it was and that I was leaving the next day. But the minute I told her the region I was going, she said, "Oh, well, yeah, you're going to do this trail. It's a 9-kilometer hike in, and then you can hike to this spot the next day, and then you can hike back out the next." What? Whoa, what just happened? There was something in that moment that broke open with me. Going on a backpacking trip had not even crossed my mind because it has been 3 years since I have backpacked. But she said it with such conviction, like it was obvious that this is what I was going to do, that it actually made me believe it too. So I decided that I would just become what she knew and saw. And man, was that invigorating. My joy factor, it increased tenfold. And I just started throwing things together. And this was 4 p.m. and I was leaving my house at 9 a.m. the next day to have a birthday breakfast. So I didn't have a lot of time, but I was so jazzed. I have never decided the night before to do a 3-day backpack because there are things to plan. There is gear to debate about. There are meal plans to create. There are tide tables and maps to consult. I mean, this takes a lot of time. In other areas of my life, like work-related things especially, this long list of excuses usually sounds like, I'm not ready. I need more skill. The people aren't ready. I need to revise it again. The 50th edit, that will be the one. Long story short, the hike was amazing. My body was strong. I remembered how to follow a trail and make clean water. I even navigated both the descent and ascent of a mudslide that made the news. I mean, not my ascent and descent. That didn't make the news. I was actually very grateful that nobody was there taking photos or video because it was not pretty, my friend. But shaky knees and all, I did it. And I don't know, I was pretty impressed with myself at the end of the day. Was the trip perfect? No, it could have been physically easier if I had bothered to train. It could have been more enjoyable to drink hot tea on my last day if I had brought a gas canister with more fuel in it. My palate could have been more satisfied if I brought more than just carrots and hummus and other scraps of food that happened to be in my fridge at the time. But that didn't take away from the enjoyment of it. There was so much to celebrate, like the fact that I remembered all the essential things like a headlamp and underwear and socks and my knife. These are all things that I have forgotten on various other hiking trips that I spent a lot of time planning for. None of that stuff mattered because it all felt so good. I was in nature, soaking up the beauty and the wisdom of that place, listening to my needs and taking care of myself. And I also learned a lot by doing it. So, for example, I learned that I actually do prefer being more intentional and planning, like taking some time to think about a trip and planning delicious meals because food brings me joy. And I love my cup of hot tea in the morning. I might have even brought a different book to read instead of force reading the first book that I stuffed into my pack. I also gained confidence in my skills and my ability to backpack again. I reclaimed that identity for myself, which has opened up a whole new world for me this year. And I got really clear that nature needs to be part of my everyday. So, with this super quick jump, this leap into the wilderness, with all my belongings on my pack and zero planning, I got the opportunity to tweak my life and bring in more joy, which, of course, is the whole purpose. Amazing. So, how does this relate to you? Well, taking small, quick, imperfect steps is a leadership skill. It's also an essential part of us fully stepping into who we are and what we were meant to be doing on this planet in this lifetime. I want to go through some of the actual benefits of taking these small steps, even when we're scared or feel unprepared or not equipped enough. So, first of all, when we take quick action, we learn so much more quickly. If I had bought into the story that I needed all this time to plan, well, quite frankly, I wouldn't have gone because I didn't have the time. And then I wouldn't have learned all those nuggets and recentered myself and had such a rich birthday. Same thing goes for, let's say, a workshop. If I spend 6 months planning a workshop, perfecting it, flip charting it, doing more research, it's not going to be nearly as good if I just start right now to offer it to small audiences and get feedback. At the end of that 6 months, it's going to be so much more stellar and it will probably meet the needs of my clients that much more effectively. So that's one, we just learn more quickly. The second thing is it helps us gain confidence because when we just jump in with imperfect action, we encounter obstacles, of course, but we overcome them in the moment. Just like that mudslide, it does not have to be pretty, but by doing it, by getting through it, we can survive whatever is put in our way. And then finally, we get to live our lives more fully right now and step into who we are instead of hanging out in who we want to be, which is such a depressing place to be. Trust me, I know it well. Just think about whatever it is that you are not taking action on. And how is that making you feel right now? So, what do I mean by stepping more fully into who we were meant to be? So, here's some examples. You may hear yourself saying, I really want to be that person who is proactive about my health, but you're not booking the doctor's appointment that you need to go to. I am so guilty of that. One of my dearest friends would attest to it. Or maybe I really want to be that person who's active, but you're not scheduling the time in the calendar for exercise. Maybe it is, I want to be that person who steps into bold conversations, but you spend most of your time fretting and talking about a difficult conversation with everybody else except the person you're actually meant to have it with. So what would happen if you actually just booked the doctor's appointment, even though you were scared? All of a sudden you transition from, I want to be that person to, I am that person who is proactive about my health. You block off an hour in your calendar each morning and go for a walk. Well, now I am the person who is active. You send the calendar invitation to your team for a brave dialogue that you want to have. Well, now I am the person who steps into challenging conversations. And even though you might be terrified and scared, you feel better about yourself because you are in that state of momentum. You are also strengthening that identity every single time you take action. So it's easier to be that person going forward. It's essentially like building a muscle. So when we keep taking these imperfect steps, one after the other, it has massive impact in the end. And if you haven't read Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg, I highly recommend that you do. It's life-changing, but this is essentially the crux of the book. I also want to point out that a key piece to my success was having somebody around to support me. So having that person around that can really remind you of who you are. That friend was priceless to me. I just had so much confidence the minute she reflected back to me what was so obvious for her. And then I made the decision that I was just going to be that person. Do you have that person in your life? Maybe it is a coach, maybe a business partner, a trainer, somebody that is going to be able to reflect back to you your courage, your strength, and your abilities. It's so important to surround ourselves with that kind of energy and that kind of support. So what is one action that you can take right now, or maybe in the next 2 weeks, but no longer than that, that will have you moving forward on one of your dream projects, or that will bring you closer to the person that you say that you want to be? Have fun, experiment. I would be keen to hear what you decided upon, so you can leave a voicemail and let me know. But enjoy all the feedback that you get, enjoy the things you learn, and enjoy how quickly that you gained all that wisdom, and then celebrate. Before we close the circle, I want to give you a heads up about our next circle. You really want to be here for this, because these two women, these two amazing change makers, they are going to show you how small action can have a monumental impact on individuals, communities, and the world at large. So please, please join me for this soul-quenching, rejuvenating, and inspiring conversation with Halise Bridges and Walker Brandt next week. Take care. Lots of love. I'm now passing the talking piece to you. If you feel called to put your voice in the circle, please head to humconsulting.ca/podcast and share your story there. I cannot wait to hear what has come up for you as you have listened to what has been shared here today. I wish you love and joy beyond your wildest imagination. Thank you so much for being here in the Circle of Change. I also want to express my gratitude to the following peeps. Circle of Change is recorded on Lekwungen territories, and I am so grateful to live on this land. Our opening and closing music was created by the talented E-Roll Beats. You can find his creations at erollbeats.com. And special thanks to my coach, Mary Chan of Organized Sound Productions, for bringing this podcast to life. Until next time, ciao.